My, what weird times we are living in right now. And I'm just saying that because as a car guy, uh, I like cars. Not just performance cars. I mean, I've owned plenty of sedans in my life. I've even owned a station wagon. Uh, I kind of thought about this when after the Stellantis released this charger appliance that, well, it doesn't look like it's doing very well, which is kind of sad that they took two cars that were doing really well and just got rid of them randomly. And that's kind of where we are with cars in America. And this is actually pretty significant if you think about it, because America has been built on the car. It wasn't built on the truck or the SUV. It was built on the car, the personal transportation device. And, the thing is, cars used to be kind of something you could buy without going into complete debt. And if you needed a used one, you could buy one really, really cheap. And, it was like, the cheap used cars, that was up into the mid-'80s. So that you could actually buy a car for $100, $200, and it ran, it had air conditioning. May not have been in nice shape, but it was something that was usable. The new car peak time was like 55 to 74 before the government got truly involved in our lives to the point of insanity. And that's really where we are right now with cars. Because if you think about it, there's only three normal cars that are built by traditional U.S. companies, General Motors, Ford, and what was Chrysler. There's only three, and they're all by Cadillac. You still have the Corvette and the Mustang from Ford and Chevy. Stellantis has nothing at this point. Truly nothing, because personally I don't count EVs as cars. They're a luxury item for people that want to feel good about their purchase and not really a useful piece of transportation that can be kept for a long time and inexpensively maintained. So, I want your thoughts on where you see cars going, because I kind of have an idea. Now, I'm going to give a little background of how we got here. Because we don't just get here. It took 50 years to get here. But now we're here. And, there were certain things that happened during the time period. First you had the EPA getting created. And the EPA did two good things. I'll even say catalytic converters are a good thing because they make very clean exhaust. They took the lead out of gas. And literally they should have stopped there. But they keep on getting into our lives and they created a new pollutant, which was called carbon dioxide, which is something that you and I breathe out. That's also what makes soda bubbly, makes champagne bubbly, and it's what plants eat. It literally helps them live. And by making something that's an inert gas into something that is dangerous, you can create a whole scare and get rid of easy transportation with an engine in it. Something with an engine in it that actually could be maintained over a long period of time. They try to force you into electric appliances that are unrepairable, expensive, heavy, dangerous. All in all, just not a step forward, a step backwards. You had, of course, the gas crisis, which then in '73, which then led to the CAFE standards, which is an arbitrary number picked out by the government to make forced fuel economy standards on car manufacturers, whether or not the technology is there, nor the product is going to be purchased by the consumer. It really is an insane thing. It started okay enough at 18 miles a gallon in '78, but unfortunately, it started ramping up into the 20s by the early '80s. Manufacturers couldn't make cars that satisfied the public with those type of restrictions, and it showed. I mean, Ford got lucky with the Thunderbird and they made the Aero Bird years, and they put the 6 in it. It got decent fuel economy, but for the most part, like Chrysler built, the K cars, and they were tiny, and they weren't built very well, because do you see any today? No, they're gone. And because of these things, that we got weird fuel injection systems that didn't work. We had computers and added a lot of things to cars that still are not ready. Like, cars literally still are not caught up to what the government wants them to have. And that's why you have like companies like Hyundai, who in their cars, to try to get fuel economy, put pistons that are this tall in there, and basically the rings burn up on them, and by 100,000 miles the motors are toast. BMW put 4 cylinders in their 3 Series with turbos. 100,000 miles, the motor's toast. There's no longevity. And also because you had all this stuff with the pollution control in the 70s and 80s, the used car market got very ugly in the early 90s, 2000s, where you couldn't do like my uncle used to do in the 80s and earlier. Go out and buy a car for $200, use it for a while, sell it, and then find another car for $200. And that there was nothing wrong with them. It was just a change of pace. That all went away because of all these regulations that happened on the cars. So where it starts really going off the rails, though, is in the 2000s, because several things happened in the 2000s. First, we lost Plymouth, Saturn, Pontiac, Oldsmobile, and also Mercury as car lines. So now they were traditional car makers. Granted, they were part of bigger corporations, and we lost that by 2009. They were gone. In 2009, then we had our cash for clunkers, destroyed the used car market. It literally took 700,000 plus cars off the streets. Their only crime was they didn't get like 18 miles to the gallon average. This took away cars from, first time, early drivers, kids going away to college, people needing a second car, and people needing cheap transportation because they don't make a lot of money, because these cars would be sold cheaper. And that made the used car prices at that point went parabolic. They were now increasing as fast as new car prices. Go ahead, try to find a used car for under $5,000 that isn't garbage right now. I dare you, because I'm looking at 20-year-old BMWs, and they're $4,000 or $5,000, and they have 200,000 miles on them. That's just where we are with that. And then, of course, 2011, the cafe standards went over 30 miles to the gallon, which really, and now it's for cars. See, this is where the loophole. The loophole is, that's why they went to SUVs and trucks. It's lower for those. So the manufacturers, instead of trying to kill themselves and get diminishing returns, went and got rid of cars. Ford annihilated their entire car line by the late teens. General Motors did the same thing. They just killed the Malibu, which sold 200,000 units a year. They just killed it last year because of these fuel economy standards. And now you have pushed to SUVs and trucks, which are much more dangerous because they sit higher, they're a higher rollover risk, they use more fuel than a car would. This is not progress. So now we're at the point where we have, new cars, the average price is almost $40,000. Used cars, I think it's $15,000, the average price of a used car. People are keeping cars for 14 years, which is really scary because cars that old, that's like 2010, 2011, those cars are not repairable by you and me. I mean, the dealer can, but the price of replacing stuff like a computer goes bad, it's $1,000. And then you have labor on top of it. Transmission goes bad, it's thousands of dollars now. So all these rules and regulations have basically made ownership of a car so incredibly expensive just on the maintenance and upkeep that it actually becomes a whole giant line item in your budget. Not only that, but also insurance rates. If you kind of haven't figured out, insurance rates have gone up. Not because insurance companies are greedy, though they truly are, but part of it is that with all the technology they've put in cars, when they get into an accident, it is very expensive to fix a car. I had a friend that hit a deer. She damaged a headlight on her car. The car was a 2016. It was a BMW. And because the headlight got damaged and there was a little bit of damage up in the front, they totaled the car. The car had like 40,000 miles on it. They totaled the car because of the technology. That is where we are. Airbags, sensors, all these things that they've mandated, or like backup cameras, everything. All this adds to the price of the car. And then you throw EVs, which when they get in accidents, they're totaled. You can't fix one, because who's going to take the responsibility if that EV catches fire after it's been fixed? They don't want to do that. So there is another unintended consequence of all this fuel economy and pollution fighting that the government has done to us. So now we have the only place to buy cars is from Hyundai, Kia, and from South Korea, the Japanese brands, and then our German brands, and then of course Swedish brands, which is owned by China anyway, Volvo. That's it. Those are the cars you can have. And even that, none of them are big. Toyota's the one that makes the biggest cars out of that thing that aren't super expensive, because the big European cars are extremely expensive. They're $100,000 now. So there's where we are with the car, which was the symbol of American freedom, symbol of American exceptionalism, and it is now almost an extinct creature because of government regulation and overreach. And so my question to you, do you think that it's ever going to get reversed? Because the only way I see it being reversed is that the EPA needs to be neutered, CAFE standards need to be eliminated, because people are going to buy efficient cars for themselves if they need to. People aren't that stupid. You buy a car that suits your needs. You don't just, you know what, I just want to get the one that gets 5 miles. Nobody does that. And if they do, good for them. So, because this is the way capitalism is supposed to work. You're supposed to be able to choose what you want. So, I don't know. But I don't really see very good things on the horizon. And it's kind of sad. So, once again, thanks for watching. I wish I could figure out there was going to be something happier, but really there isn't. But if you got anything from this, hey, like, subscribe, share it. And always remember, if you have something cool to drive or something fun to drive, take it out. You make someone's day, maybe even your own. I'll catch you real soon. Bye.